A man gave up his house and job, gave up his house, and quit his job, and lived by the lake for 32 years. Guinness World Records gave him a special award called the longest night watchman monster hunter. But after 32 years, he found nothing. What's more surprising is that he wasn't alone. In the past 90 years, over 3,000 people have claimed to have seen the same monster, with over 200 sightings per year, far exceeding the sum of all other monster lakes in the world. In 2019, scientists couldn't stand it anymore. They took 250 underwater DNA samples, but found no trace of any unknown creature. Instead, they found something that shouldn't exist in large numbers. And this thing can explain why 3,000 normal people went crazy and firmly believed they had seen monsters. This man's story happened in 1991 in England. His name was Steve Feldham. At the age of 26, in Dorset, England, installed burglar alarms. One day, he suddenly asked himself, when he was 70, what would I think of my life? The next day, he sold his house and said goodbye to his girlfriend, and bought a retired mobile library van, and drove all the way to the Scottish Highlands and parked at Dore Beach on the shores of Loch Ness and never left since then. Every day, he held a telescope and a camera, staring at the lake, regardless of the seasons. The only time he witnessed an unidentified object was in the first year he moved. There was a huge thing glided underwater like a torpedo. The half-meter-high wave was too fast for him to take a photo. In the next 30 years, he never saw it again. But he never left. You may think he's crazy, but the problem is not with him. The problem lies in the lake. There are over 100 lakes with monster legends. Lake Placid in the US has 12 sightings a year. 8 cases in Canada's Okanagan Lake every year. Lake Tahoe in California has its own water monster, about 12 per year. But Loch Ness has more than 200 sightings per year. It's not just more, which is statistically impossible unless there is something unique about the lake itself that creates sightings. Loch Ness is not an ordinary lake. It is a 40-million-year-old scar on the Earth. The tectonic movement tore the Scottish land in half. After the end of the Ice Age, the rift was filled with water, and Loch Ness was born. It's 37 kilometers long, and the deepest is over 230 meters, which is the average depth of the North Sea. Recent survey data shows that the bottom of the lake may reach 247 meters. That location is named the Nessie's Nest. But depth is not the scariest. The scariest thing is that you can't see anything. The lake water is dyed dark brown by a lot of peat. The underwater visibility is only 10 centimeters. If you put your hand in, you can't even see your fingers. In a normal lake, your brain can handle visual information properly. In such an environment, the human brain is forced to imagine and automatically fill in the blurry parts. A floating log will be imagined as a monster's head. A wave will be seen as a hump. A shadow will be recognized as a moving creature. This is called pareidolia in psychology. The human brain is naturally able in blurry information identify patterns and faces, just like we see faces in clouds or eyes in the coffee foam. The environment of Loch Ness amplifies this illusion 100-fold. Moreover, Loch Ness also has an extremely rare physical property. Most lakes flip twice a year, which exchanges cold and warm water layers, maintaining ecological balance. But Loch Ness only turns once a year. The thermocline is stable and separated all year round and hardly mixes. This means the lake bottom is a nearly closed system. If something was trapped inside, it could theoretically survive until now. This idea ignited the most popular theory. The Loch Ness Monster is a plesiosaur. Plesiosaur was a marine reptile in the Jurassic period, 8 to 12 meters long with 4 fins and a signature long neck. It perfectly matches all witness descriptions. But unfortunately, the plesiosaur was extinct 66 million years ago. There were many fossils before extinction, but there are no traces after extinction. Some even use the coelacanth as an example. Humans thought it had been extinct 80 million years, but in 1938 it was caught alive by fishermen. What if the plesiosaur was the same? Unfortunately, this possibility cannot stand 3 tests. First, food. A plesiosaur needs 200 pounds of fish per day. The entire fish population in Loch Ness is not enough. Second, water quality. The plesiosaur is a marine creature. If it stays in fresh water for a long time, it will slowly be poisoned by osmotic imbalance. The third is also a fatal blow. The plesiosaur breathes with lungs, must surface to breathe every few hours. Nessie Lake has 1 million tourists every year. The lake is full of boats and cameras. A 10-meter-long reptile surfaced to breathe regularly. How could no one take a clear picture? The plesiosaur theory completely collapsed. What about sonar? Sonar can't be wrong, right? In 1987, humans launched the largest sonar search in the history of Loch Ness. 24 ships lined up, equipped with military sonar, sweeping the entire lake bottom like a comb. They really detected large moving objects. The world was shocked, but further analysis found that those signals were caused by 24 sonar devices' interference. The sonar didn't detect a monster, but themselves. Because of the thermocline in Loch Ness can cause acoustic mirages of sound waves. The signals are amplified, distorted, and reflected. Fish schools look like giant single organisms. Bubbles from rotting matter turn into moving light spots on the lake floor. There are even dead zones that sonar cannot penetrate. These dead zones become the last spiritual bastions for believers. You didn't find it, it doesn't mean it's not there. DNA can't lie, right? In 2019, Professor Gam's team in New Zealand conducted the most comprehensive biological survey of Loch Ness. They extracted environmental DNA from 250 water samples and analyzed over 500 million gene sequences. The results showed no reptiles, no sharks, no catfish, no sturgeons. All mainstream theories were defeated by DNA. But they found a large amount of excessive amounts of European eel DNA. Almost every sampling point had it. Professor Gan Meyer said that we cannot rule out the possibility of giant eels in Loch Ness. European eels are usually only 1 meter long, but if an eel does not go to the Atlantic to breed and stays in the lake to grow, it can theoretically grow to 3 to 4 meters. A 4-meter eel swimming in the dark water, with your imagination, it can turn into a 30-foot monster with a long neck. But even if it's a giant eel, the theory can't explain everything. Eels don't have long necks, can't lift their heads out of the water or move on land. But some witnesses swore that what they saw looked like a swan, with their necks gracefully raised. Some even claimed to have seen it on the shore. These people are not crazy. Their descriptions are highly consistent, as if they saw the same creature. So what did they actually see? The answer is hidden in a photo from 1934. This photo is the real monster of the entire Loch Ness myth. London surgeon Robert Wilson took the famous surgeon photo with a long neck sticking out of the water, a perfect monster. This photo dominated human imagination for 60 years, until 1994. The creator, Christian Spurring, admitted before he died it was made with a toy submarine and a piece of plastic wood. The origin of the hoax is even more absurd. A hunter was hired by a newspaper to fake footprints of a water monster. After being exposed, he was angry, and he planned this fake photo to take revenge on a personal grudge, creating a global myth for a century. But the most outrageous thing is that after the photo was debunked, there were more eyewitness reports. Because for 60 years, this photo has been planted in the minds of all mankind, planted a template in their minds: long neck, small head, and hump. From then on, any blurry signal that everyone sees on the lake will be automatically matched to this template. People don't describe it because they see a monster, but the brain gives you the answer first, and then you look for evidence in reality. This is the ultimate secret of Loch Ness. The peat water makes your brain imagine the thermocline, making sonar malfunction. A fake photo implants a visual template into you, and 2 million tourists and billions of tourism income every year, so the local people have no motivation to end this myth. The British government even passed a law prohibiting anyone from harming this thing that no one has proven exists. You heard that right. A creature that may not even exist enjoys legal protection. This is more absurd than any water monster story. In 2025, sightings continued. At the beginning of the year, a tourist on Doris Beach, he photographed a huge black shadow underwater. The head of the Loch Ness Center said that it may be the most important sighting of this year. The mystery of Loch Ness has not been solved. By October, the 4th official sighting was recorded, which has already exceeded the total number of the whole year. In May of the same year, the Quest Discovery Festival, the first underwater robot search of the lake bottom, which captured a giant pike. This is the first time in deep water direct evidence of large fish. The robot also dug up the equipment left by Dr. Robert Rines, which lay quietly on the lake floor for 55 years. Steve Feldman once said, "I'm probably the only one in the world for not doing a thing and won a world record." But he also said that I have never regretted a day in my life. The Loch Ness Monster may never have been in the water. It has always lived in the human brain. And the human brain is much deeper than Loch Ness.